when we're parents, people always tell us, yeah, kids don't come with an instruction manual, but we do. And I believe that it's our journey to figure out what's our instruction manual. So there's a page in our instruction manual that's called My Decision Strategy. The best decision in my life. What did I tell myself? How did I feel? And what did other people say? And there's a common elements in there. So now I know that when that's there, that's the right.
Welcome to SOULgineering. I am Ravi Tangri, your host, and what we are talking about here is how to bring more heart and soul into all of your life, your work, your play, your community, your relationships, everything. And today I'm really, really excited that we have with us fellow member of the Canadian Association of Professional Speakers, Sara Gilbert, who is a business strategist and a mindset coach. And what we're going to dive into today is potentiality. What is it that's possible for us that we have not yet even dreamed about? Welcome, Sara. Welcome to SOULgineering.
Well, thank you very much for the invitation. I always truly enjoy our conversation, really.
Me too. I mean, it's so delightful. What I would like to get into first is how did you get into this? Because I mean, chatting with you is amazing. You've done so much exploration of what drives us, what moves us, how do we tap into what's here? How did you find your way to what you're doing now?
It was, you know what? It was a need for me because as long as I can remember, like as a kid, I knew that I was telling myself as a kid, this can't be it. There's got to be something else. Like this cannot be it. And I've always been a kid who contributed a lot, did fundraising of all kinds of stuff, sold all kinds of stuff like chocolate and toothbrushes and Christmas ornaments and did a petition to save a beluga. I've never seen a beluga in my life, but I've always been that person. And I've always wondered, what's more than this? Because I could not wrap my head about this was it. You're supposed to work hard. Life is hard. Money's tight. And you gotta hustle in life. And then you get up, you go to work, you get home, you have dinner, you watch TV, you go to bed, and then you repeat the same day. And I was like, I can't. And I've tried to fit in. And that's how internally I died. And I'm like, I can't do this. So at one point I just dropped everything, sold the house, kicked out the husband, kept the kids. That's all I kept. Right? I kept the kids, changed everything, quit the job. And I'm like, you know what? I don't fit anywhere anyways. I was too creative for the corporate world and too corporate and business for the creative world. And there was just not my place. And at one point I'm like, you know what? I'll just make my place. And then the rest is, you just follow along the signs of life and then you explore and that's it.
So how did you come from that? From saying, okay, I'm done with the corporate world, I'm done with the husband. How did you go from that to becoming a business strategist and diving so deeply into how our minds, how our brains work, how our souls work even?
So when I originally launched my business, I was really a business consultant. I was all about the business. And at one point I'm sitting with clients and we're mapping out their visibility strategy and they're like super excited. They have beautiful business already, but they're like, oh my gosh, Sarah, this is exactly what we want to do. All the comments, the feedback that we want from a client. The thing is, it was the third time we were having the same exact meeting. And that's when I realized that there's something I don't understand. So I actually went back. I did my double certification in NLP. I went dug into neuroscience, human behavior. I've always been fascinated about human behavior, but that doesn't pay the bill. So you put that aside. And then I brought that back in. And now that's why I work with entrepreneurs, yes, on the business strategy, but who's the human that will carry the strategy? And that a strategy that's in alignment with the human, because all the strategies work, but only the ones that are aligned with who we are and what we actually want. So we live in this world where people, it's all about more of more. And my philosophy is about more of better. And better is better. It's not more, it's better. So what are the rules of the life that I want to live? What do I want to tell myself on the deathbed? What's my contribution on this planet while I'm here? That goes at the core of the business strategy. And then we build a business around that and not the other way around. And we're stuck in this paradigm of like, we build a business and then whatever's life is left and that goes around it. And people are like, but I feel empty. I'm like, for sure. Because we're trying like the round peg in a square hole, whatever. And it just doesn't work. So now I really navigate both together and to really help us, because I also do it for me, gain clarity on what we want.
Right.
So
And
there's a difference between potential and potentiality. Potential is what I know what I want and what I know what I'm capable of. Potentiality is what I don't even know what's possible.
right. And this is why I love our conversations because I mean, we're so aligned. Like what you're describing to me is what I call soulgineering, right? Bringing that. But before we get into the potentiality, I'm curious. That's an amazing shift, and it makes total sense to me with your business. What did you discover about yourself on that journey? First, to step out, and that takes a lot of courage to step out, not only to start your own business, but you also change your personal life and a lot. But then along that journey to actually shift to going into this really fundamental work, which I think is the important work if you want to make things happen. What are the discoveries you made about yourself
I
that,
discovered what I call our recipe to make decisions. So we all have a recipe for decisions to know the decision is right for us. And for me, it's everyone tell me it's what I have is good. I'm telling myself that there's this can't be it. There's got to be something more. And in my body, I feel like I'm dying inside. So we all have this recipe of what do we say to ourselves, how we feel, and what others say. And all the good decisions that we've taken for ourselves in life, it all works the same way. We noticed that we all told ourselves the same thing. We all felt the same way. And everyone around us was telling us the same way, the same things. So when I put the rest of the elements for me, that's what shifted. Because I knew that marriage was not it. I was really dying inside, and people are like, you have it all. Like, you guys are a gorgeous couple, you have gorgeous kids, da, da, da. I was dying inside. The corporate job was the same thing. And even my business that I evolve and evolve and evolve, it's because at one point I feel that same thing. I know that there's more. I feel that I'm complete, and there's like, ugh. And people will tell me, yeah, but you have a great business. I'm like, okay, perfect. 1, 2, 3, check, check, check. I know the decision that I want to make is the right one. So when we're parents, people always tell us, yeah, kids don't come with an instruction manual, but we do. And I believe that it's our journey to figure out what's our instruction manual. So there's a page in our instruction manual that's called My Decision Strategy. The best decision in my life. What did I tell myself? How did I feel? And what did other people say? And there's a common elements in there. So now I know that when that's there, that's the right thing.
okay.
So I went back to that.
So I understand that congruence. The only thing though, if you can clarify for me, you said that they have to be saying the same things, but the other people in those examples were saying different things because they were saying you had the great marriage, but you didn't feel it. They said you had the great job, but that wasn't in line with what you were feeling or what you were saying
Yeah.
to yourself. So how did that get in line for you?
So
What?
in my recipe, what they say and what I say and what I feel is not the same.
Okay.
Some clients, when they do their strategy, their recipe, their decisions recipe, people around them tell them it's the same. So that blueprint is unique to each one of us. It's not that I want more, it's that I'm dying inside.
Right.
My head tells me that there's something more. But it's different for everyone. So our instruction manual is unique,
Okay. So
but there's commonalities.
what keeps people from this? Because you know, I I've been in consulting now 32 years. And when I started, people would talk about, oh, in 10 or 20 years, I'm going to retire. I'm going to do this and this. And then it started shifting where I'd go into the large bureaucratic organizations and people started saying, oh, I've only got 5 or years until I get my package, or 10 years until I get my, they're dying, or they're dead, but they're hanging on to get the package and they're still not leaving. They're living. So what is it that keeps people there? And what is it that can help people move from that to say, no, there's a choice? Because I don't think those people see that there's a choice.
They don't. So I have a process that I use in my business, but in my life, and it's CFA, clarity, focus, action. We live in a world where everyone's busy being busy because we don't have focus. And we don't have focus because we don't have clarity on what we want. So when we ask people, like, what do you want? We get either, I don't know, which means I do not want to have this conversation. That's like the exit of the highway. Like, I don't want to go there. I don't know. But when we stick with it, people will tell us one of two things: what they don't want and what they've done in the past.
Right,
That's where the conversation ends. So if I don't know what I want, I'll be busy being busy, but not doing anything.
right,
So gaining the clarity of what do I want? And that starts with the end in mind. Like everything that we do in life, we start with the end. We build a house, we know the square footage, the rooms, even the decor that we're going to have. We go on vacation, we know where we want to see. We know everything that we do in life as a project, we build it as a project and with the end in mind, except life. So a question that I often ask is, what do you want to tell yourself on your deathbed?
I think a lot of people, they have a blueprint maybe than when they got young that, okay, I'm going to get married, I'm going to have kids, I'm going to have the house and the picket fence and this. And they get that and it's like, this doesn't mean anything. And I think that was one of the blessings of the pandemic is a lot of people, when they were forced to live at home for a while and be isolated, they suddenly realized all the stuff they'd fought for doesn't really mean a lot. That's why you started having this great resignation afterwards. I think people realized this isn't worth it.
Yeah, because there was less external noise. So people listen more to their internal voice. And in the busy being busy, we don't listen to our internal voice. We don't, we don't map out or decide, gain clarity on what do I want my life to be about? What do I want to contribute? Who do I want to be? What do I want to tell myself on my deathbed? What are my rules of the game called life? And people stick around because they have nothing to retire to.
Right.
So it's not about retiring from, it's retiring to, because there's always another level of who do I want to be? Who do I want to become? What do I want my life to be about? So I have a theme for my life, and that's kind of my anchor of saying, okay, well, so my theme of my life is adventure. So do you know how many times I'm like, well, big, come on, girl, because if your theme of your life is adventure, let's go, let's do it. Press on the button, do the thing, stop that, say yes, say no. Because on my deathbed, I want to be able to tell myself, I've gave it everything I've got. There's nothing left. Like the tank is empty.
Yeah.
And I want more people to be able to say that
I
to
love it.
themselves.
So that now brings us perfectly, I think, to potentiality. And what does that mean now? You said there's a distinction between potential, which is what you can see, a potentiality, which you may not even have tapped, but you just sort of somehow vaguely sense.
Potentiality is a direction. Potential is what you see, what you know.
Mhm.
So I believe that in life, there's two options. You can either be in security or curiosity, but you can't have both. So if you're
Say more. Say
seeking,
more on that.
so obviously the brain's job is to keep us alive.
Hmm.
Okay. It's not to reach our full potential. It's not so no, the brain is there to keep us alive, which means in its comfort zone. And actually, we need to stop calling it a comfort zone because it's actually a zone of familiarity. It's what we
That's
know.
exactly what I say too.
Yeah. So the brain's job is to stay there because if I'm there, I know what's going to happen and there's not going to be a saber-toothed tiger that shows up and eats me alive. So I get to pick though. If my brain in 3.2 seconds, when somebody texts, a client texts me and says, I need to talk to you in 3.2 seconds, I've got the whole scenario that, oh my gosh, I'm maybe not satisfied. I'm going to lose money and that I'm going to be homeless under the bridge with my kids. If my brain has that ability, my brain also has the ability to say, how good can it get?
Yeah.
So this is where intentionality, which is my second favorite word in the entire world, brings to us. And people are living in autopilot because it's secure, that need for security. But can I live with intentionality and decide what's the theme of my life? What's the contribution? What do I want to tell myself on my deathbed? What do I want others? What do I want my kids, others to say on my deathbed? And that becomes the anchor of, okay, that's a direction. Adventure means a lot of things. What exactly? I don't know, but I know it's a theme, so let's go. So
Right.
it's a direction. And from there, what we need is trust.
Okay.
And
Tell me, trust in.
trust, not trust in, trust. Trust that you'll figure out the solution. Trust that it will map out. Trust that you'll meet the right people at the right time. Trust that the money will come in when it needs to come in. Trust.
Good.
It's not about self-confidence. It's just trust.
Hmm.
But you can't have trust and a need for security at the same time. So trust comes with non-attachment. So in the security and the safety, it's all about attachment and detachment.
Right.
And potentiality is about non-attachment.
And that's distinct. We've chatted about this from detachment.
Yes. Because detachment is just a negative attachment.
You're pushing it away.
You're pushing it away. I don't care about him. I don't care about that. I don't care if it doesn't work out. I didn't want it anyways. That's not true. Non-attachment is that's what I desire. If it happens, great. If it doesn't happen, great. I'm still moving forward.
Yeah.
So, and when more of us can tap into that, when we allow ourselves to tap into that, we allow others to tap into that.
So
So
how can people start? Because it's so deep down, this, what you call potentiality. How can people start to discover what is in there? What's speaking to them?
I, I often recommend to start by deciding what's the theme of your life. And let's be clear for the perfectionists or the recovering perfectionists who are listening to us, it's not about having the right answer. It's about having an answer that will evolve. Okay. So it's not the theme that I have to stick with that. It's the theme for now. It's like iPhone has done so many versions of whatever. If it's good for Apple to evolve, it's really good for us as well. So to select a theme, because that's going to give us a direction. And the second is self-observation. Pay attention. What do you tell yourself? What are the stories? What are the patterns that come with those stories? And be curious. Well, that's interesting. I almost got to my goal, but you know what? I sabotaged it. Do I have a tendency to do that? We want to bring the things that are unaware into awareness, because as long as it's in my blind spot, I can't do anything with it. When I know it, then I can be curious about it. Then I can laugh about it. And I can say, you know what? I did that again. That was interesting. And the more aware I become, the more intentional I become.
Right.
I'm saying, that's interesting. In the past, I would have procrastinated on this. And this time I just went for it.
So I think there's a key here when you talk about being curious. What a lot of people I know do is they automatically go to beating themselves up, blame, guilt, and because I messed up and etc. So what do you think, what do you say to people who step into that? How can you step out of that trap?
So there's two vortex the way that I see it, there's two vortex. There's a contraction vortex, and then there's an expansion vortex.
Okay.
When I'm in a downward vortex, this is where we seek security, we stay in fear, we stay in pattern. What if it doesn't work? Da, 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 da. It's and curiosity, which is my favorite word, brings us not from the downward spiral to the upward. It brings us from the downward to neutral.
Okay.
That's where the question comes in. What's the worst thing that can happen? It's a nice question, but it just brings me back to neutral. When I'm back in neutral, then I can ask, how good can it get?
Now, for a lot of these things, I found a lot of these go back to patterns from when we're really, really young. Like, some say 70% of our personality is almost shaped by the time we're 5, 90% by the time we're 10, by beliefs, deep held beliefs, and so on. There is a line between coaching and counseling. And how does someone know that they need to go to do some deeper work, counseling or therapeutic work versus things they can do on their own or with a coach? What do you think? What do you see as flags?
So the way that I see it is coaching is, okay, that happened. Now what? And if I can't get to the point of the now what, then I would suggest counseling and every modality that reaches that touches the person, you know?
Yeah,
But coaching is about, okay, now what?
good.
That's it. And if
Yes.
when we can get there, then let's play.
So if they're just stuck in the downward spiral, then that's a need to do some deeper work, probably.
Do some deeper work and there's so many modalities, and this is something that we
Totally.
often talk about. And every coach has a coach, and every coach digs into this. We give what we needed and what we need. But the self-observation is such an important one because as we're living in autopilot, we don't realize that inner critic, and it's not a positive critic, it's more of a self-deprecating critic, those stories that we tell ourselves. And so one of my expertise in psycholinguistics and in terms of mindset, it comes back to really there's universal stories that we carry. I'm not enough, I don't matter, and I'm not safe. So I'm a perfectionist is tied into one of those. I'm a procrastinator is tied into one of those. So let's allow ourselves to dig into those stories, to go to the root of it before start working on the superficial. Like a client comes up to me and says, let's talk about mind and time management because I've got too much. I'm like, let's talk, because time management is just emotional management in disguise. So can we talk about the real things? So that's where deciding what you want the theme of your life to be. And then with curiosity, observe. What do you say? How do you feel? And be curious about that.
I love that. I love that.
I got the energy, it's all I need to finish. And everyone that knows me knows that I can do this. Yeah, I know that I can do this.
Time for the lightning round. So, Sara, these are questions. First thing that comes to mind, whatever pops up for you. Okay, that's what we want. That's what we want to get. All right, are you ready?
Ready?
All right. Introvert or extrovert?
Ambivert.
Okay. What's the most favorite job you've ever had?
The one that I have now.
All right. What's the goofiest thing you've ever done?
Can I pass and come back to it?
Is it that you just don't want to share?
Uh,
That's
I,
okay.
I don't think I'm much of a goofy person, but if you
All
would
right.
ask my kids, they would say yes. So that's why I'm not sure.
All right. Let's just go on. What's the best compliment you've ever received?
My presence.
Cool. What's your biggest failure and what did you learn from it?
My marriage. Right.
Okay. And as a child, what did you want to be when you grew up?
A kindergarten teacher.
Oh, okay. What's your most important ritual?
Meditation.
Nice. Who do you admire?
It has to be one person.
Just the first person that pops to mind.
The first person that popped to mind was Mother Teresa.
Nice. Okay. How do you nourish yourself?
Meditation, deep conversation,
Okay.
and a lot of journaling
Nice. What do you want to be remembered for?
to show people that so much more is possible.
And what's your purpose in life?
To show people that so much more is possible.
I love it.
Actually, no, to embody that so much more is possible.
Ooh, yes, I love that.
Check it out, check it out. Oh, are you ready for this?
You have a resource that our listeners can tap into, right? On understanding your sabotage, I believe.
That understanding your saboteurs, it's
That's
based on positive intelligence. Yes.
Mhm. And how can people access that? This is an online resource.
It's an online resource. It's a masterclass that I've recorded for my private clients, and it's understanding some of our behavioral patterns of what's between who I am, and who I truly am.
Right.
Like and it really puts words on patterns that we have. So simply go to my website, saragilbert.coach, and it's right there on the landing page. You can see, you can subscribe it. It's a masterclass and you can access it automatically. It really puts words on something that's intangible, invisible, but yet so present in our life.
Well, and I think that's a magic, is bringing all of this stuff that's running us that we're not aware of into our conscious and awareness. Then we can start to shift things. Then we can start to move forward.
Yeah. And that's our rule.
Very cool. Well, thank you so much, Sara. It is always, always a delight.
Thank you so much for inviting me and for all the beautiful conversations that we have on a regular basis.
And to many more.
I know I'll get